YouTube Live. Today, of course, we're talking about the real luxuries in life. Father, help us to have the right perspective, and we pray this now in Jesus' name, amen. Well, of course, I live in a Western nation, and I have the privilege, of course, of living in a country where luxury is, of course, a way of life. All I have to do is walk down the streets of my community and I can find all kinds of luxurious items. Did you know that just buying a half-ton truck or buying yourself a quad cab or just buying your basically nice looking truck can cost you anywhere from 80,000 to $120,000? I It was interesting that I see today young people living in the area which I am living, driving these top of the line trucks. I was having a conversation just the other day with a young man that I drive on my school bus, and he was telling me that his dad just bought a relatively brand new truck, and he said, we buy these trucks for our farm and we're able to, of course, write them off. That's why we happen to buy these very expensive trucks. Just buying a combine today in the community in which I live can cost up to $1 million. Can you imagine spending $1 million on a combine? That's right. Well, luxuries in life is, of course, what many people want. You have people out there buying, of course, the Lamborghinis and the Bugattis and the Hummers and buying the big, houses, getting the second home. I was reading today about this one particular fella. His name is, of course, Barry Manilow. Barry Manilow has been around as a singer, and he has a lot of homes all around the world because he likes to travel and he doesn't like to stay in a hotel. So what does he do? He buys a house. Well, let me tell you what the real luxuries are in life. The first real luxury in life is time. And you need to enjoy every aspect of your life and the time that you have. A person put it this way: it takes 9 months, of course, to get into this world. It only takes one moment to leave. So, my exhortation for you is to understand that time is really a luxury in life. We only have a certain amount of time in our lives. So let's use them to, of course, the maximum. Enjoy every day that you have and enjoy the people that are in your life and understand that time is actually a luxury and it is not to be wasted. It is to be used and utilized to its maximum. So enjoy the time that you have and enjoy the people that are in your life and make a decision that you are going to be a blessing in the time that you have. The second luxury of life is actually our health. You know, we all enjoy good health until we don't have it. And when all of a sudden we don't have good health for whatever reason, you know what? We want to have our health back. So, what I always encourage people to do is do what you need to do to, of course, keep your health going. Diet well, eat the right kind of foods, make sure that you exercise, make sure that you do preventive medicine because your health is something. I remember watching The Princess Bride, and here you have, of course, the king talking to his number one torturer. And the torturer says, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. That is the most ironic statement in that movie. But it's absolutely true. If you don't have your health, you're not going to enjoy the things of life. My wife, for example, a couple of weeks ago, she was having some problems with her back. So we got her into Aquasize right away. And her first session improved, of course, her posture and also as well her disposition. Why? Because she was out there doing some exercise. I never, I always encourage people to be involved with exercise. You know what another luxury of my life is? A quiet mind. That's right. People get so involved in worrying about things. Many people will lose sleep because of fear and because of worry. But you know what? Having a quiet mind, being able to flow through life with, an understanding that there are some things that you can change and there are some things that you cannot change. In fact, real happiness is coming to the conclusion that there are some things that you can change and some things that you cannot. And those things that you cannot change, just let them flow. Because the simple fact is, you can only do so much. So, having a quiet mind and not worrying about things is a real luxury in life. You know why? Because many people do not have that luxury. They're chasing, whatever they believe is going to give them success and bless their lives. But in that pursuit, they are actually losing their lives and they're losing their health and they're losing their time. So it's great to have a quiet mind. Also, as well, slow mornings. We live in a world where it seems like everyone is rushing somewhere. I want to tell you something. Busyness is not necessarily productivity. There's lots of people out there that are busy. I was reading about a guy who had just retired, and for the first 2 or 3 weeks, he was kind of okay. I'm okay. I'm sleeping. But then one morning, that it hit him. He says, all my work a day world, he says, I was chasing what I thought was really important. But he said, one day my boss came to me and said, we're going to offer you an early retirement package. He thought, great, I'm going to retire. But then, about 3 weeks to a month into his retirement, he knew that he was bored out of his mind. So, what did he do? He got involved with everything going in his community, and soon he found out that this busyness that he had was, of course, just a product of what he was doing before. So it's okay to have a slow morning. It's okay to be able to have a cup of tea or a cup of coffee. It's okay to have a quiet conversation with someone that you respect, someone who's a friend. Slow mornings can be a real luxury. You know why? Because most people have no idea what a slow morning is all about. They're out there chasing the almighty dollar, chasing after something that really isn't all that important. I want to remind you about this. You will never find a Brinks truck following a hearse. So enjoy every single quiet morning that you have. How about the ability to travel? I love to travel. I love to see new places. I love to see and meet new people. Why? Because every time you go for a trip, you are building memories. Some people say, well, I can't afford it. And my response is, you cannot afford not to. I remember when I went to Japan the very first time, and we had this wonderful young lady who was our tour guide, and she took us to all these different places. The most memorable experience, of course, was when I was at the Aqua Mall in Tokyo. And the Aqua Mall is a very big, tourist center. And on that Aqua Mall, I got to see the Japanese version of the Eiffel Tower and also, as well, the Statue of Liberty. That's right, they have a mini Statue of Liberty and a mini Eiffel Tower. This mini Eiffel Tower is actually about 300 feet high, and the mini Statue of Liberty is almost 100 feet high. Well, I have all these memories, of course, of going to Japan. I have the memory of sitting on one of those bullet trains, traveling from Tokyo to Nagasaki, it was really quite the trip. And so you see, whenever you travel, you build memories. Of course, I live in the province of Alberta, and I only live a couple of hours away from, of course, the Rocky Mountains. I grew up in southern Alberta, and I grew up in the Rocky Mountains, and I have all these memories. And every time I go back, my memory floods of all the wonderful times. I've been to Banff so many times. I've been to Jasper so many times. I've been to Lake Louise. These are beautiful spots. And every time I go there, I am building memories. So a luxury in life is, of course, the ability to travel. How about rest without guilt? Laying your head down on the pillow or having an afternoon nap without any guilt. Now, that's really a luxury. And the reason I say that is because many people do not have that. They're worried about this thing and that thing. And of course, today we are entering the seventh day of the war in Iran. There's a lot of people in Iran that would like to be able to rest without guilt. There'd be a lot of people there that would like to travel, have a slow morning, a quiet mind, time and health. Why? Because right now they're being bombed back to the Stone Age. We are living in chaotic and confused time. I mean, all you have to do right now is go to the gas pump and you'll realize that this war in Iran is definitely affecting you. And there's a lot of people who are up watching the news saying what's going to happen next. And of course, it can be very, very worrisome about things like that. Well, you know what? To be able to rest without guilt is a real luxury in life. And so it's one that you and I should, of course, take advantage of if we happen to have that moment. Also, as well, another luxury is a good night's sleep. A lot of people don't get a good night's sleep. They're worried about this thing, they're concerned about that thing. And to be able to lay your head on the pillow at night and know that everything is going to be okay is a wonderful blessing. You know, as a Christian, I am able to sleep every night because I know that God works the night shift. There was a book years ago from Ron Mel called God Works the Night Shift. And he's working on our behalf while we are sleeping. But you know, many people don't have that luxury or don't have that knowledge. They are trying to fight the fight of life by themselves. And so they don't rest very night. There's a lot of families out there right now that are just trying to make ends meet. And so in the middle of the night, they're up worried about how they're going to feed their kids, how they're going to take care of, the bills, et cetera, et cetera. One of the things that my daughter was talking to me about a couple of years ago, she said to me, Dad, you were raising a family on what you were earning. My right up to about 15 years ago, my wife didn't work. She stayed at home with our kids. And so we were surviving on one income. And there were times at the end of the month where I was absolutely amazed about the fact that we always seemed to have just enough, not luxurious, but we always had enough. And the reason why is because we had put our trust in the Lord and have never been disappointed, not even once. God took care of us. Sometimes it got right down to the very end, but the simple fact is, God took care of us. I could tell you story after story about how God took care of us. So it's wonderful to go to sleep at night and actually get a good night's sleep. It's actually a luxury in life, something that many people really struggle with. In fact, there was a survey that was done on this particular subject, and 8 out of every 10 people struggle with getting a good night's sleep for various reasons. So if you have and are able to have a good night's sleep, believe me, it's actually a luxury of life. How about one of those calm and so-called boring days? Every once in a while, it's okay to relax, to have a calm and boring type of day. I've been rather busy the last few days helping do certain things for my daughter. But then, after I finished doing the tasks, like for example, yesterday I had promised my daughter that I was going to fix a step in her house. She has one of these log houses, and there was a step going down into her basement. Now, a couple of days ago, in fact, last weekend, my daughter had a flood in her basement, and we've been cleaning up after that. And one of the things that I promised I was going to do for her was to fix, of course, the area of her basement. There's a step that needed to be fixed. So, of course, I fixed it yesterday. And I was able after that to say, you know what? I'm going to have just a relaxing type of day. And so it was wonderful to just sit down and enjoy nothing. Sometimes it's okay to do absolutely nothing. And in fact, it's something that I would encourage you to do. Also, as well, having a meaningful conversation. It is wonderful to be able to have a conversation with someone that you enjoy being with. That is a real blessing. To be able to sit down and have coffee with someone, to sit down and to talk about a deeper aspect of life. Sometimes just sitting there with someone that you care is just a real luxury because a lot of people don't have that. In fact, uh, they did a survey in one of the countries of the Scandinavian called Sweden. It was interesting that when they did the survey, they found that 50% of the adult population are actually alone. They feel lonely. And this is in one of the top countries of the world. And 50% of the adult population feel lonely. So being able to have a meaningful conversation with someone that you care, someone that you love, someone that you respect, one that you're a friend with, that is a real luxury in life because a lot of people don't have that. Many people reach out to me over social media and tell me how lonely they really are. And to those that feel lonely, you know what? Guess what? Go find a friend. You say, well, how do I go find a friend? Easily. Those who find friends, of course, start off by being friendly. Go someplace and, whether it is in some sort of social club, some sort of activity. My wife, for example, has many, many friends that she has met in Aquasize. That's right. She goes and has coffee with all these ladies having Aquasize. She has met many different people in our community because she got involved in a social activity and has developed many different friends in the community in which we live just because she goes every couple of days and goes and paddles around in the water. It's absolutely, you've got to do that. But it's wonderful to have meaningful conversations. How about a home cooked meal? We live in a society, of course, of where people are doing microwave dinners. And it's interesting. My wife and I are actually going to the city today, and my wife and I will go to what they call the dollar store. And whenever we go to the dollar store, we see people picking up these cheap meals, these microwave meals, so that they can, be able to. I had a conversation last time when I went to the dollar store, and there was this guy with all these pre-cooked stuff. And I said, is that what you're going to eat? He says, yeah. He says, that's what I'm going to eat because that's what I can afford to eat. And I thought to myself, I'm so blessed because I have a person who makes home cooked meals for me. Also, as well, every morning it's my responsibility in mid morning to create a brunch for both my wife and myself. A home cooked meal is a real luxury because a lot of people don't have that. Also, as well, being with people that you love. There's a lot of folks out there that are lonely. There's a lot of folks out there that don't have people in their lives that love them. So if you have people in your life that love you, that care about you, and love you back, that is a real luxury in life. These are things that many people don't look as a luxury. When we think about luxury, we're thinking about beautiful cars, we're thinking about beautiful homes, we're thinking about, diamonds and the so-called baubles of life. But I want to remind you that those are not the luxuries in life. Having people in your life that love you and love you back, that is a real luxury. Having a good home cooked meal, that's a real luxury. Having meaningful conversations, that is a luxury. Having a good night of sleep, that is a luxury. Having those calm and so-called boring days, believe it or not, that is a luxury. Being able to rest without guilt, that is a luxury. Being able to travel and enjoy and gain meaningful experiences, that is a luxury. Having a quiet mind, that is a luxury. Also, as well, having some time and health, these are the real luxuries in life. So, my exhortation for you today is realize that luxury is not an accumulation of wealth and baubles and things. I know that right now many people are getting all excited about the new iPhone that's about to come, because usually in March and April the newest iPhone is going to come out. I don't even know what version or edition the iPhone is all about. You know why? Because I'm not concerned about that. But to some people, that is a luxury. But you know what? Luxury isn't about the things that you possess, it's the things that you do with your life. When you understand the real luxuries of life, what I have already explained to you, then you are living in the lap of luxury. When you understand that if you have good health, it's a blessing. When you have time, it's a blessing. When you're able to travel, it's a blessing. To rest without guilt, to have a good night's sleep, to have meaningful conversations, to have people that you love and people that love you back. These are the real luxuries of life. Think about that. Well, my name is Robert Dean Steele. If you like what you've been hearing and seeing, I always encourage you to press the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I want to thank all those who have, of course, subscribed to my YouTube channel. You are the ones that have blessed me so much, and thank you very much for doing it. Also, as well, every day, check out my YouTube shorts. That's right. Every day I put a bunch of YouTube videos on that are designed to encourage and inspire you. They're just usually under 1 minute, and they're just one thought that makes you and encourage you to have a certain aspect of life. Well, if you've enjoyed it, check those out as well. You have yourself a great and godly day. And remember, luxury is not what you possess, it is who you are. Thank you.